The Philadelphia Rugby Football Club is one of the oldest rugby teams in the country, and our producer, Abby Fritz, plays on the team. With the U.S. Supreme Court set to hear a case on whether states can ban transgender athletes from playing in school sports, we wanted to revisit our episode with Abby and her teammates about how a trans-inclusive club team is thriving here in the city, despite all the political debate over gender identity. It's Thursday, September 18th. I'm Trinae Nuri, and here's how Philly plays rugby.
I've played rugby since high school. I played on and off in college, and afterwards, I decided to join a recreational team here in Philly, the Philadelphia Rugby Football Club. We call it PRFC, or Philly Rugby.
Philly Rugby on three! 1, 2, 3! Philly Rugby!
The team's been around since 1976 and went to the first ever national competition in 1978.
I feel like it's such a niche sport that everybody is just so excited for people to be interested in it, and they just let go of any personal problems they have and maybe even grow as a person.
This is my teammate, May Shooter. They play either prop or hooker, and they've been on the team for 3 years. Rugby is a full contact team sport. Some people like to say it's similar to football, just without the pads. But anyone who's familiar with it knows that rugby predated American football and is very different. The ball can only be passed backwards, and the play doesn't stop when someone is tackled. Some say the Eagles' tush push is a play comparable to a rugby play called the maul. They deny it, but I'm looking at former rugby player Jordan Mailata with some side-eye. There's bigger controversies that have touched our team this year. Since President Trump came back into office, sports communities, both nationally and in Philly, have been impacted by policies he's implemented.
President Trump signing an executive order meant to ban transgender athletes from playing.
President Donald Trump on Wednesday signed an executive order to exclude transgender girls and women from participating in female school sports.
It comes after he put out a sweeping order on his first day in office calling for the federal government to define sex as only male or female and to be reflected on official documents such as passports.
In February, Trump announced an executive order entitled No Men in Women's Sports, which banned trans women and girls from playing in women's sports that receive federal funding. So this includes high school and college athletes. It threatens to cut federal funding to teams that don't comply. I immediately thought about my teammates. We have both non-binary and trans-identifying folks on the team, and I wondered what a public stance like this from the president would mean for us. After the executive order, the team quickly posted on social media with their stance that rugby is a sport for all, including non-binary and trans-identifying athletes. Rachel Miller, we call them Miller, was the vice president of PRFC's board and a 16-year veteran on the team.
Trans people are under attack in this country and in other places, but specifically in this country. And, you know, if we don't stand with the most vulnerable, then we're all going to be in trouble. I mean, this is sort of a topic of conversation all around the world. And it's been a topic throughout history.
This isn't the first time the team has addressed transphobia in rugby.
I'm trying to think of how long ago this was, maybe 5 years. If you look on our website, there's a photograph of a bunch of people wearing a shirt that says diversity is strength. And that came out of Raleigh and Nova were pretty big rivals back in the day.
Miller's talking about Rugby Football Club, which is out in North Carolina, and Nova Rugby, which is a club over in the North Virginia, D.C. area. We're in the same league and regularly play each other.
Raleigh had a trans man on their team, and he was a good player, and it wasn't because he was trans. He just was strong, and he made a very bad tackle on our captain, basically jumped on her back, and it tore up her knee, and it was terrible, but it wasn't because he was trans. And so Nova, one of our rivals, wanted us to join a letter trying to get him to not be able to play in competitive games. And so obviously we refused, and we banded with Raleigh, and we were like, we're not doing that. That is completely against everything that we stand for. And that's just an excuse to like get a good player off the field and use their transness against them. So our team has always been kind of united with this. I mean, we've had multiple openly trans players on the team, trans women, trans men. Everybody is welcome. And that's how we, support each other.
Miller describes the team as a women's plus team, meaning women, non-binary, and trans folks are all welcome to play. We play in a women's league, but don't exclude anyone who feels the team is a right fit for them and their identity. Since the team is a nonprofit that is completely funded by players and private partnerships, this executive order won't technically impact it financially, but Miller said that didn't matter.
I think because we all have to exist in this world that is quickly turning fascist. And so if we can provide a space for that not to be the case, for people to feel free and comfortable and supported, that even if it's just 2 nights a week and on Saturdays, that's important to do. So we're creating a community where we're trying to support people who are affected by all of these outside forces.
Stick around for the second half of this episode to learn more about PRFC after the break.
September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Kidney cancer is one of the most common types of childhood cancer. The Kidney Center Association is committed to creating awareness and raising funds for research to find a cure through Chalk Your Walk. Kids, artists, and anyone with a heart for kids can raise awareness for childhood kidney cancer by chalking up their pavement with messages of hope. Find out more at chalkyourwalk.org.
PRFC is a Philly-based club. We practice out in Kensington, and our home games are in Fairmount Park at a field right across from the Please Touch Museum. It's pretty cute. We have about 70 members, and we field 2 teams. We play folks all over the Mid-Atlantic, from South Jersey Rugby Football Club all the way to Boston Women's Rugby Club.
I always feel like I like the idea of tossing people with consent and not going to jail, it's a good, nice little workout, but also I do believe heavily in therapy. So
this is Linnae Allen, or Herc on the pitch. They've been playing on the team for 4 years, and they are the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair.
The team has come a long way from when I started. They're really inclusive. I've had teammates that really fought for me and other people to just have the name that they want on the roster and not have to have their legal name or a dead name. Or they can have a nickname on there, but then there's threats that they can't play in playoffs. And truly, if it comes down to it, and I have to use a name that I don't want and I don't like, I'd rather just not play. So what is our team gonna do? Do you not want a good player playing, or do you want to get rid of this rule that is just really transphobic?
What Herc is referring to is how in certain games it can be mandated to check IDs. This was also standard practice when I played club rugby in college. It's meant to check that everyone who's on the roster is registered with the team and meets qualifications to play, like having third-party liability insurance, which everyone who plays in the league needs. We do get a little banged up, so this extra coverage does come in handy. But this can be an issue for players who go by a different name than their legal name, or they're in the process of changing their name. Folks can choose what name they want to be made public on the roster, but if it doesn't match your ID, you might not be allowed to play. Our team has made room for every teammate to self-identify what they'd like to be called at each practice. Shooter said this helped them feel comfortable when they first joined.
First practice I went to, everybody said their names and pronouns. I love that. Every practice, we say our names and pronouns. When I play for Philly, I'm not like a trans person or non-binary or queer. I'm a rugby player. And that's very nice to kind of just step into that role.
We bill ourselves as the third oldest club of its kind in the United States. Over the years, it's seen some changes. Miller told me that back in 2021, the name switched from PWRFC, so Philadelphia Women's Rugby Football Club, to Philadelphia Rugby Football Club.
Because not everyone on the team identifies as a woman. So it just, even though we play in the like women's competitive like division, people didn't want to be called women. Like some players were uncomfortable with it, and we want to be inclusive. And rugby as a sport, especially on the women's side, has been very inclusive. So embracing trans players, gender nonconforming players. And so that's why it was important for us to drop the W.
At the end of March, it was made public that National Collegiate Rugby, the world's largest collegiate rugby organization, complied with President Trump's orders and quietly issued a ban on trans women from competing in qualifying matches and other championship events. The college rugby team I played for at Syracuse University is registered with NCR, so is Penn and Temple's rugby teams. The organization got nationwide pushback to this decision. I learned about this ban in my rugby team's group chat and watched the team post information about it on social media. 11 days after the ban, National Collegiate Rugby reversed the decision. Now they're using the standards set by USA Rugby, which is the nation's governing body for the sport in America. They say everyone should be not just allowed, but encouraged to play rugby. I've played rugby on the East Coast, the West Coast, with varying levels of competitiveness, but rugby culture is consistent. In high school, we ate after most games with the opposing team. In college, we drank and sang rugby songs. And now after every game, we socialize with the other team. We've hosted teams overnight. They've stayed at our houses. And this really does build community. For me, it's what keeps me coming back. Shooter says that community support has also kept them playing.
When I came back from my top surgery, they were super supportive. I felt like my coach was supportive and making sure that I was okay to play and safe to play and holding me back until he felt like it was safe for me. And at no point did anybody ever make me feel bad about it. I remember I'd spilled beer all over my shirt and I had to take it off. And it was my first time being topless in front of people after top surgery. And they were all cheering me on. And like, it felt really great. It felt great in that moment.
We'll have a link in our show notes with more information about the team. Go Philly! Thank you to Shooter and Herc for being on the show today. Also, big shout out to Miller for talking with me about their 21 years of playing rugby, 16 of which was with Philadelphia Rugby Football Club. This was their last season playing. We're going to miss you, Miller.
That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you want to learn more about this rugby team, make sure you click the links in our show notes. Also, tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Philly neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Friday News Roundup. Talk to you then. Bye.